Hey gang, welcome back to Egotastic FunTime. We're going to do a Talking the Orville themed episode of the podcast. Yay! Today's show is brought to you by Mooska's Sci-Fine Dining. If you haven't had the chance to check it out yet, you're seriously missing out. There's even a location aboard the Orville ECV-197. If you're craving fine dining with a relaxed, welcoming atmosphere, Mooska's is the place to be. Their menu is packed with incredible dinner options, but for me, it's all about the butter cake. Do I need more dessert? Probably not. Am I gonna have it anyway? Absolutely. Trust me, you guys, it's worth every bite. Alright, let's talk about it, because honestly, I know a lot of you are thinking it. The Orville. Where the hell is that Season 4 announcement? We've been patient, we've been hopeful, we've clung to every little breadcrumb that drops, and yet, here we are. Still waiting for that official public confirmation. Scott Grimes announced that Season 4 production would begin in January or February of 2025. We still have a few weeks for that to become true. Seth MacFarlane said that there will be more from the Orville. And many insiders have said that they were waiting for Ted Season 2 to be more ready before they were allowed to make an official announcement of the fourth season. And Ted just recently wrapped filming. So is the Season 4 announcement just around the corner? Now look, I've told you guys before, this isn't just speculation. I, along with a few other content creators, got word straight from people who are deeply tied to the Orville's production that the show has been picked up for a fourth season. We were told that last spring, and yet, months later, here I am, still sounding like a crazy person with no receipts, no press release, no Seth MacFarlane tweet to point to and say, "See, I told you!" And I did tell you. Being this close to production all these years has been both a blessing and a curse for me. It means I get access to some truly exciting behind-the-scenes information. It also means I'm stuck in this limbo, this weird limbo, where I know the good news, I share the good news with you, and then radio silence from the studio. And let me tell you, it's really freaking frustrating, because I never want to be that YouTuber, the one who throws out clickbait just for the views. That's not me. That's not Talking the Orville. But at the same time, how do you keep people engaged when the show itself isn't giving us much to work with? The sad truth is, my content gets the most attention when people think I've got breaking news. If it's just a fun discussion about the Orville universe, a fraction of the audience shows up. And I get it, people want updates. I want updates too. They want that confirmation. But right now, the big flashy announcements aren't there. It doesn't mean the show isn't happening. It just means we're stuck waiting for the business side of things to untangle itself. So, where does that leave Talking the Orville? Well, it leaves us with the true believers. The ones who stick around, not just for the updates, but for the love of the show. The channel members, the patrons, the ones who want to dive into this universe even when there is no big news. You guys are the ones who make this worth it. And in the meantime, we wait. We speculate, we have fun with the stories, the characters, the possibilities, and when that announcement finally does come, oh, you better believe we're gonna celebrate, you guys. But until then, let's enjoy the adventure, because the Orville isn't just a show, it's a community, and we're still flying. We're gonna talk about the Orville's Future Unknown episode right after a word from today's sponsor.
Mooska's, where the flavors soar. Sip champagne while the planets roar. Truffle mac and caviar fries, a five-star meal with a stellar sunrise. Mooska's, a taste so rare. High-class comfort in the galaxy's air. I go to Mooska's for the VIP treatment, but I stay for the butter cake, oh yeah.
Hey gang, welcome back to the 25th century. The Season 3 finale of The Orville was all about a future unknown. We talk about the future as if it's some great mystery, some vast and unknowable thing, waiting beyond the horizon. We chase it, we fear it, we try to shape it, bend it to our will, hoping that if we make the right choices, take the right steps, we'll arrive at some perfect version of ourselves, of the world. But the truth is, the future isn't some distant thing. It's happening right now. Every second, every decision, every step we take is shaping what comes next. And today can feel like every moment matters. Bortus and Clyden, who would have ever thought that a Mocklin wedding would feel like such a victory? That two people who once seemed bound by nothing but obligation and expectation would stand before their family, before us, and choose each other. Truly choose, with love and certainty. It wasn't always that way. For so long, their story was one of conflict, of distance, of wounds too deep to be ignored. Clyden, so set in his ways, so devoted to a culture that refused to see the world as it is. Bortus, caught between the life he was raised to accept and the one he was beginning to understand. And yet, somehow, they found their way back to each other. Not because their differences disappeared, but because they learned how to see each other beyond them. Because love, real love, isn't about perfection. It's about standing in front of someone and saying, I know who you are, and I still choose you. But their story wasn't the only one that mattered. Isaac and Claire, a woman and a machine, a doctor and an artificial intelligence, two beings who, by every logical standard, should never have made sense together, and yet, against all odds, they did. Isaac, the unfeeling, the logical, the Kalon who once saw humanity as nothing more than an obstacle to be eliminated, stood before us all and made a promise. Not out of obligation, not out of calculation, but because he wanted to. Because he understood, in his own way, that love is more than a feeling. It's a choice, a commitment. And Claire, the woman who has spent her life fixing the broken, who has loved and lost and learned what it means to carry the weight of another person's heart, chose him in return. Was it unconventional? Yes. Unpredictable? Absolutely. But isn't that the beauty of the future? That it is unknown? That it does not belong to tradition or expectation or the limits of what we think is possible? It belongs to those who dare to believe in something more. To those who look at the universe not as it is, but as it could be. Maybe that's what Future Unknown is really about. Not just a wedding, not just a moment of happiness among the chaos of war and politics and survival, but proof. Proof that people can change, that relationships can heal, that love, real, imperfect, unexpected love, can exist in a universe that so often feels cold and indifferent. And maybe, just maybe, if we can believe in that, then the future, no matter how unknown, isn't something to be feared. It's something to look forward to. In the future, we can all do better when we all do better.
Some Mooskas where the flavors soar, sip champagne while the planets roar. Truffle mac and caviar fries, a 5-star meal with a stellar sunrise. Now Mooskas, a taste so rare, high-class comfort in the galaxy's air. Shamuskas, a taste so rare, high-class comfort in the galaxy's air. Oh, Shamuskas, a taste so rare, high-class comfort in the galaxy's air.
The thing about the future is, it never stops moving. No matter how much we try to hold on to what was, to cling to the safety of what we know, time keeps pulling us forward into the unknown, into the uncertain, into the next great challenge that we never saw coming. The artificial war is over, at least that's what we tell ourselves. The Kalons stand behind us now, allies in a fragile peace that could shatter with a single misstep. They were once our greatest enemy, a cold, calculating force that saw biological life as a threat to be eliminated. But we showed them another way. Charlie showed them another way. Isaac chose to walk among us, not just as an observer, not just as a machine, but as something more, something even he struggles to define. And now the rest of his people are beginning to ask the same questions. What does it mean to evolve, to move beyond programming, to feel? Some of them embrace it, others reject it, and that divide, it's growing. How long before factions form, before one side looks at the other and sees them as a threat? The Kaelon have already seen one rebellion in their ranks. Will there be another? And what happens when the enemy isn't a species, but an idea? And the Kaelon are not our only concern. The Union is weaker than it has ever been. The Mocklans and the Krill have forged an alliance, one built on shared fears and mutual hatred of what we represent. To them, the Union is corrupt, weak, too willing to compromise, too willing to embrace change at the cost of tradition. The war they want is not against us. It is against the very idea of progress. And Topa, she is still their target. She is living proof that change is possible, that the Mocklan way is not the only way, that a girl can be born into a world that tried to erase her and still stand defiant, still claim her right to exist. But will she be safe? Will any of us? And then there's Talia, the supreme chancellor of the Krill, the mother of a child who is half human, half Krill, an abomination in the eyes of her people. She let Ed live once, but for how much longer? How long before she looks into the eyes of her own daughter and realizes she cannot be both a mother and a ruler, that one will have to be sacrificed for the other? There's no telling what she will choose. And there are rumors of something worse lurking beyond the edges of known space. A power older than the Union, older than the Krill, older than any war we have fought. A force that does not care for our politics, our borders, our alliances. It is coming. And when it arrives, we will all have to answer the same question. Can we survive what's next? I don't know what the future holds. Maybe the Union will fall. Maybe the Orville will be destroyed. Maybe we will live to see a day where the Mocklans, the Krill, and the Kaelon all stand together. Not as enemies, but as allies. Or maybe we won't live to see anything at all. But I do know this, the mission isn't over. The stars are still out there waiting to be explored. New worlds, new civilizations, new possibilities we haven't even begun to imagine. And as long as there's an Orville, as long as there's a crew willing to fight for what's right, for what's possible, then the story isn't finished. The future is unknown. But that's what makes it worth chasing. We all do better when we all do better. Together with Talking the Orville.
Mooskas, where the flavors soar. Sip champagne while the planets roar. Truffle mac and caviar fries, a 5-star meal with a stellar sunrise. Mooskas, a taste so rare, high-class comfort in the galaxy's air. I go to Mooska's for the VIP treatment, but I stay for the butter cake. Oh yeah!
Orvillians across the galaxy have been waiting with bated breath for the announcement of a 4th season of Seth MacFarlane's utopian sci-fi series, The Orville. It's been a long enough wait since the end of its 3rd season for fans to become worried. What if New Horizons was it? What if we never get another season of adventures from our favorite crew, serving aboard our favorite ship in the Union? Has the series been canceled? Why is it taking so freaking long? These are valid questions for any fan of the Orville to ask. We want more. Well, I'm happy to say I have some good news for you, fellow Orvillians. No, the Orville hasn't been canceled, though it also hasn't been renewed. Oh wait, or has it totally been renewed for a 4th season and just hasn't been announced by the studios yet? Here's some really great news for you. Take a listen. When coming on as a guest on the Mike Henry podcast, Seth MacFarlane had something very important and exciting to tell us, the fans of the Orville.
Anyway, so yeah, sometimes you gotta earn.
Yeah,
You want.
Give them,
even at your stage.
Yes, even at my
been
stage.
hugely
even
successful.
But it's like with anything, the passion projects aren't always like. Look, the Orville was a passion project. I say was, but I don't really mean was, because there will be more.
Seth said that there will be more when referring to the future of the Orville series. More doesn't mean less. In fact, it means more. There will be more from the Orville coming up, but you might be wondering, what does more the Orville mean? A movie? Or perhaps a few new comic books? Perhaps an animated series? Or does he mean a brand new season of the show? The Orville Season 4. I'm happy to say I have the answer to many of those questions coming up in just a bit. I'm sure you're wondering, if there's going to be more live action content from the Orville, why isn't it in production yet? There's a few reasons for it. Seth MacFarlane is a busy guy. He's currently under contract with Universal creating content for NBC/Peacock, like the new Ted series, which was a massive hit and has just recently started production on season 2. He's also in post-production for the new Naked Gun remake due out next year. In the Mike Henry interview, Seth said that even at his level, you have to give the studios what they want if you want them to let you make what you want. In this case, he's talking about the Orville, his passion project. Once Seth has fulfilled his promise to make the projects he's under contract to make, the contract will then allow him to return his focus to the Orville. So the more you see from Seth, the happier we'll be, because it means we're that much closer to getting back to the 25th century. I also know that Seth wants to produce a lost episode of the Orville from season 3 that they were unable to make due to travel restraints. Sympathy for the Devil is a fully scripted adventure from the Orville, ready to be shot and put on our screens when the time comes. Seth was so passionate about this story that he released it as a novella for fans to enjoy. The audible version is narrated by none other than Bruce Boxleitner and is available now by clicking the link in the description. But is Sympathy for the Devil going to be the story for a movie about the Orville, or will it be placed within a new season as an episode? I'm happy to say I have the answer to that question. So, is the Orville coming back for a 4th season? The answer I have, my friends, is yes. The Orville will return to our screens with an all-new season. For years now, I have had the absolute best sources around when it comes to getting news and information about the Orville. Most of you already know this, and of course, it's been aggravating as a fan of the series to have to wait to hear about the show getting renewed or not. I simply love the Orville and desperately want to go on more spacefaring adventures. Myself and a few other insiders in the Orville community have been privileged with the information that we don't have to wait for the Orville to get renewed or not, because it already has been renewed. Yes, I've been told that the Orville has already been picked up for a 4th season. It hasn't been announced by the studios to the public yet, but it's already in the books. They're just waiting for Seth MacFarlane to wrap up a couple of the projects he's got going right now so that his contract will free him up to get back to working on more Orville episodes. This is basically a situation I already assumed was happening, but it's nice to get the inside confirmation, you guys. I don't know exactly when production starts for the Orville Season 4, but I've got my fingers crossed for a late 2024, early 2025 production schedule. I really need to know what happens with Topa and the Krill-Mocklin alliance and Ed's daughter. How is married life going for Claire and Isaac? Will Gordon ever find love, and will John and Tala find a way to reignite their spark? What about Ed and Kelly? We need to know these things. Disney and Hulu haven't made a public renewal announcement yet, but why are they taking so long? Do they have some sort of game plan? Are they simply waiting until Seth is officially ready to begin? Or are they hoping to make an announcement when the all-new Guide to the Orville book hits shelves this September? It'll be a great way to boost sales for sure. Either way, I think the fandom is ready now for the announcement. Just taking the stress off of our shoulders would be the best reason to announce the Orville. We want more. Moreville. Let me know if you think they should just announce it already, even if it's too early by their standards. For all the latest news, discussions, and interviews about the Orville, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video so YouTube shares it with more Orvillians. I'll see you very soon, and remember, we all do better when we all do better. Together. Love you, bye-bye.